Hello, everyone. My name is Gonzalo Méndez, and I am here with my colleague Luis Galárraga. The work we will present in this talk is a collaboration between ourselves, Katherine Chiluiza, and Patricio Mendoza. In previous work, we presented ICORA, an interactive visualization tool that supports academic term planning. ICORA provides grade predictions by using students' historical performance information and provides explanations of these predictions. This is how the tool looks like. Upon opening, it shows a student academic program. Clicking on a course in this view shows the course's general information, such as its historical distribution of grades or its passing and failing rates. Users can drag the elements of this view to the tool's prediction panel. This interaction triggers ICORA prediction models. The predicted grade for each course is shown as a range composed of an optimistic and a pessimistic prediction. Adding new courses updates previous predictions based on the tool's data and models. Each grade prediction is shown with a Y button that enables users to see the positive or negative contribution of the different features used by the tool's predictive models. In a CHI 2021 paper, we investigated the effects that ICORA had on students when they planned a forthcoming academic term. We found that when using the tool, students tend to approach course selection as a grade maximization problem. They also show little interest in the explanations provided by the tool, and we also found that the visual representation used to convey the grade predictions influence how much students trust the tool. In this paper, we seek to investigate the perspective of academic advisors when using ICORA. In particular, we seek to answer what are the effects of grade predictions on the advisor's approach to course recommendation, and how does the student profile impact the advisor's strategy to recommend courses. To answer these questions, we invited 15 academic advisors from a computer science program in an engineering-oriented university. The advisors used ICORA to recommend a set of courses to 3 different students: one outstanding student, one average performing student, and one struggling student. And now, Luis is going to tell us what we found.
All right, in regards to our findings, so we started with a quantitative evaluation when we tried to characterize the interaction of the advisors with the tool. Starting with the advisor recommendations, so we observed that on average, advisors assign lower workloads to the low-performing students, even though those results were not statistically significant. While what it was statistically significant was the increase in the GPA that the recommendations of the advisors induced in the low-performing students. So that is, we observed that if the predictions of the system became true for these students, then the predicted GPA was higher, while it was not the case for the other student profiles. We also observed that advisors disagreed more on the set of courses recommended to the low-performing students, while for the high-performing students, there was a significantly higher agreement. When we look at the courses that were recommended to the different students, so we realized there are courses that are very popular for the high-performing students. An example is algorithm analysis, a course that is deemed difficult. That was not actually recommended to the low-performing student very frequently, as we can see here. In other cases, courses such as web development and entrepreneurship, they were popular across all student profiles. We also quantified the interaction effort of the recommendation task. So, and we observed that on average, advisors spent more time making recommendations for the low-performing students. So most advisors open the grade explanations at some point. However, overall, they showed little interest in this functionality. However, the interaction with the low-performing student sparked a little bit more of interest. So they tended to spend a bit more of time interacting with the explanations when recommended courses to these students. We also conducted a qualitative evaluation when we tried to distill insights from the feedback given by the advisor. So So what we observe is that the experience and personal perspective of the advisors prevailed over the recommendations of the course of the tool. Um, um, we saw this because advisors rarely looked at the predictions or individual predictions made by the tool, so for the different courses, um, and they said this explicitly. So they didn't look at the recommendations because they already have experience on doing that. So they know exactly which are the courses that are difficult, and the combinations of courses that perhaps are good strategies. And they even were further, and they also disregarded the official information about the courses that was provided by the tool. However, in most cases, advisors did look at the academic history of the student in order to create a sort of profile of the person they were making the recommendation for. More things about the approach to recommended courses is that all advisors try to balance the load of the courses they recommended. So this was in particularly obvious for the low-performing students when they explicitly said that for students with that struggling GPA, they wouldn't recommend many courses. In contrast, for the high-performing students, advisors would take the risk of actually recommending a challenging set of courses because they thought this student could overcome the challenge. The advisors also expressed concerns about the adoption and deployment of a tool like ICORA in the university. So they evoked the notions of trust. So a couple of advisors said that they were not sure of trusting the predictions made by the system, and they advocated for actually conducting further steps to validate the predictions of the system before deployment. They also talked about the undesired effects of grade predictions because they think that if a system that makes GPA predictions could push students to focus only on the grade and disregard other important factors such as learning outcomes or the workload. And they emphasize that a tool like ICORA shouldn't be a replacement for the advisor, but rather an assistant, a help that would help improve the dialogue between students and advisors. Then to conclude, in regards to our first research question, so we can say that the opinion and experience of the advisors overrode the predictions of the system. Those recommendations were based on the previous exchanges with the students, the perception of the actual workload of the courses, the institutional enrollment guidelines. So advisors not only overrode ICORA's predictions and recommendations, but also overrode the official information about the courses that was given there. And these observations stand in sharp contrast to what we observed with students who trusted almost blindly the predictions made by the.
Regarding our second research question that investigated the impact of the student's profile on the advisor's decisions, we found a clear distinction between the advising strategy applied for the low-performing student and the other profiles. Advisors were more willing to take risks for the students with better performance because they believed that these students could overcome pessimistic grade predictions. We also observed higher averages and dispersions for the time invested in the low-performing student, and this profile also encouraged the highest disagreement among advisors. And with that, we thank you all very much.